Thanks, Pachiti. Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with another quick news update, a WrestleMania weekend news update. It's WrestleMania weekend, there's already been various events taking place, and there's already some big news about WWE. There's some news about an indie star who had a match with a WWE superstar, potentially implying that he is to join NXT soon, or the Performance Center. There's news of a big indie title change, and there's news about CM Punk as well. So let's get straight into it with all the lovely WrestleMania weekend news. First and foremost, it has been revealed that WWE legends Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler will commentate on at least one match at WrestleMania 34. That match is said to be the men's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which of course takes place on the pre-show. Now, I wouldn't be too surprised if Lawler and King also cropped up later on in the night, maybe to call one other match, a big one, just because it seems strange to put them only on the pre-show if you're going to have them there at all. You'd either not have them on the show or in a more prominent position, I feel anyway, rather than on one of the pre-show matches. But maybe that's just how I feel, I don't know, it just doesn't quite make much sense to me. Also, Beth Phoenix will apparently commentate on the Women's Battle Royal, and according to SE Scoops, other guest commentary names have been held in reserve and will be revealed at the event itself. In other news, a major indie star had a match at Axxess with a WWE contracted superstar, which leads a lot of people to believe, including myself, that he could be soon joining WWE, as was reported a few months ago, but never really confirmed. Nothing ever came of it. There was a whole, is it a real story? Is it false? Has it just been delayed? Well, I think, after hearing this, that it's just been delayed, and that Keith Lee could well be making his way to WWE very soon indeed. Lee wrestled Cassius Ohno at Axxess yesterday and defended his WWN Championship. Successfully defended it, I might add, so he's still holding on to that for now. It remains to be seen whether he'll lose it at some point this weekend. There is, of course, a WWN Super Show coming up on which he could lose the championship, and that would free him up, obviously, to join WWE whenever his heart desired. But I don't know if there's any urgency. I think this might just be a further connection between Keith Lee and WWE, who I think are pretty obviously keeping tabs on him now. The fact that they invited him to Axxess as an indie wrestler to have a match against Cassius Ohno, an NXT superstar, seems to imply that Keith will probably be rocking up at some point in the near future, maybe even straight onto NXT itself with minimal time spent in the Performance Center. And I certainly wouldn't be against that. I think he's one of the most exciting and charismatic indie wrestlers in the world today, and he's one of those people that I think WWE really like, just because of his blend of size, because he's a massive dude, and also his extreme athleticism as well. Lee also appeared on Evolve 102 last night, wrestling poor Darby Allin. Darby Allin was a lot smaller than Keith Lee, and they did a good big man versus little man storyline where Keith Lee won and continued to, I think that means he's undefeated so far of WrestleMania weekend. Well done, Keith. I'll be keeping tabs on him throughout WrestleMania weekend and seeing what else he does and whether he has any more involvement with the sneaky old WWE. Trying to poach everyone, aren't they? Trying to scoop all the indie stars up from New Orleans, take them off to the next venue. Despicable promotional tactics. Over to the UFC now. All eyes in the world's media has been on the UFC this past couple of days, just because of Conor McGregor's crazy antics, which many people have been calling a work, but at the same time, how much of a work is it when you throw a barrier at a bus and the glass shatters and injures some fighters inside? I think you can only take a work so far. Apparently McGregor is also in custody, but we're not going to talk about Conor McGregor. We're going to talk about CM Punk, because this is a wrestling news show, and CM Punk used to be a wrestler. That makes sense to me. CM Punk, of course, lost his UFC debut and his MMA debut generally against Mickey Gall in brutally straightforward fashion. I think Punk was very clearly out of his depth against a younger, hungrier, and far more experienced fighter. But his next opponent has been confirmed. The UFC have confirmed that Punk will next fight Mike the Truth Jackson. The truth will set you free, CM Punk, and will make you humble. Although maybe not, because I had a look at Mike the Truth Jackson's MMA record, and it's the same as Punk's. It's 0-1. He's fought once and lost. And guess who it was against? Mickey Gall, the same guy who beat CM Punk. And again, like Punk, he lasted a very short amount of time and was finished in the first round. So I think quite blatantly, the UFC have picked a guy who CM Punk maybe could beat, and then they could get another fight out of Punk, and maybe another one if they do the same thing again. It's really clever promotional tactics, I guess, but not a very inspiring one. And selfishly as well, horribly, because I'm a selfish, horrible man, I want Punk to lose and realise that he wants to come back to wrestling, as I'm sure many of you would agree. I feel bad for that, because of all the dedication and the training and stuff that he's done, but I just want him to lose and think, you know what, I might go and do the wrestling again. And finally, this WrestleMania weekend has also seen a major belt change hands on the independent scene. This came last night at Evolve 102 and saw Zack Sabre Jr. finally lose the Evolve Championship to Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle has been on fire so far this WrestleMania weekend. He wrestled a hell of a lot yesterday, only in one day. And the most important of those matches was obviously his victory against Zack Sabre Jr., but he also fought Minoru Suzuki in the main event of Matt Riddle's Bloodsport, an event named after him, so it only makes sense that he was in the main event. He was originally scheduled to fight Loki, but then Loki pulled out, allegedly because he's injured, but also allegedly because he didn't want to put him over. And then they brought in Minoru Suzuki instead, and then Riddle put him over and went, I'm not losing to Loki, but I'll lose to Suzuki, of course I will. It was a short but quite entertaining match, pretty hard hitting. There were no ring ropes for the whole event. It was all shoot style and all that sort of stuff. The only time I've ever seen Suzuki lose a chop battle, he took a few of Riddle's chops and thought, I don't want any more of that, and just need him instead and change the match. Suzuki won, but there was major respect shown between the two after the match. I say fight because both are such, MMA legitimate shoot fighty men. And yeah, it was pretty good. Riddle also wrestled Deonna Purrazzo, one of the Women of Honor and a big major name on the women's independent scene, in an event, I think it was a Beyond Wrestling event, where every match was intergender. There were also matches like Jimmy Havoc versus Jessica Havoc, and so on and so forth. But Matt Riddle is doing really well at WrestleMania weekend so far, and after his match against Purrazzo, guess who he was jumped by? That sneaky boy, James Ellsworth, who he is wrestling later on this WrestleMania weekend. I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited. Come on, James. Any two-man with fighting hands has a chance. That's his motto. That's right. That's all for now. Thank you very much for watching this news update. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. You can follow me on Twitter at JackTheJobber, and all of us at Cultaholic. And as well, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, to join us.